Princess Charlotte of Wales turns 11. Yet her most significant constitutional achievement occurred the exact second she was born. 11 years ago, her arrival at St. Mary's Hospital instantly dismantled a British royal tradition that had governed the crown for 10 centuries. Princess Charlotte became the very first female royal in history whose place in the line of succession was legally protected from being overtaken by a younger male sibling. She was not just born a princess, she was born an equal. To understand the magnitude of this shift, we must examine the legal framework that controlled the British monarchy for over 1,000 years. The system was formally known as male preference primogeniture. Under this strict constitutional rule, a male heir automatically bypassed any older female siblings in the line of succession. This was not simply a palace custom or an informal family tradition. It was the definitive law of the realm. Princess Anne, the only daughter of the late Queen Elizabeth II, serves as the most prominent modern example of this system in practice. Despite being the second child of the monarch, the subsequent births of her younger brothers, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, immediately pushed her further down the line of succession. Her age, her seniority, and her lifetime of dedication to the crown were legally deemed secondary to her gender. Historically, female royals were structurally positioned as temporary placeholders in the royal hierarchy, destined to be demoted the moment a male heir was introduced to the family line. The political momentum required to abolish this systemic inequality reached its peak just a few years before Princess Charlotte was born. On October 28, 2011, leaders from across the Commonwealth realms convened in Australia and established the historic Perth Agreement. This was a massive legislative undertaking. It required all 16 countries where the British monarch serves as head of state to unanimously agree to alter their own national laws. Royal correspondents and historians note that the late Queen Elizabeth II privately but firmly supported this monumental transition. Palace aides recounted that she conveyed a clear directive to government officials, emphasizing that the monarchy had to modernize its internal structures to reflect contemporary values of equality if it wished to maintain public support in the 21st century. The process of implementing this change was highly complex. The Perth Agreement could not take effect immediately because the legislation had to be drafted and passed individually by the parliaments of all 16 Commonwealth realms, ranging from Canada to New Zealand. It was a painstaking political process that took nearly 4 years to finalize. By the time the Succession to the Crown Act officially came into full legal force in March of 2015, the timing was remarkably precise. Just 2 months later, Princess Charlotte was born, stepping directly into a newly leveled playing field. The act explicitly ruled that for any royal child born after the October Agreement in 2011, succession to the throne would be determined strictly and exclusively by birth order, completely eliminating any gender bias. The true test of this newly established legal reality arrived 3 years later, on April 23, 2018, with the birth of her younger brother, Prince Louis. Under the laws that governed her predecessors, the arrival of a royal son would have instantly displaced Charlotte. But history did not repeat itself. The new law held firm. Princess Charlotte retained her exact position in the royal hierarchy. Palace insiders reported that Prince William acknowledged the profound significance of this change shortly after his daughter's birth. He reportedly shared with his inner circle that he felt a deep sense of relief knowing his daughter would grow up with the exact same constitutional rights as her brothers, affirming that she would never be forced to step aside or diminish her public role simply because she was born a girl. Today, Princess Charlotte securely and permanently holds her place as third in line to the throne, following her father, Prince William, and her older brother, Prince George. This single legislative act was a calculated response to a modernizing society, securing Princess Charlotte's historical position through parliamentary law rather than outdated tradition. How crucial do you think this constitutional reform is for the long-term survival and relevance of the British monarchy? Share your perspective with us in the comments section below. Yet, a secure place in the line of succession would carry far less weight if her royal identity had been diminished from the very beginning. Did you know that Charlotte was almost not a princess at all? Without a quiet but powerful intervention from behind the palace walls, she would have entered the world not as Her Royal Highness, but simply as Lady Charlotte Mountbatten Windsor, a name that would have permanently cast her in the shadow of her older brother. To understand how close she came to this lesser status, we have to look back to a historical decree issued more than a century ago. In 1917, King George V established a strict set of rules known as letters patent, designed to tightly restrict who could hold the highest royal titles. Under his rigid framework, the title of Royal Highness was limited to the children of the monarch, the grandchildren through the male line, and strictly the eldest living son of the eldest son of the Prince of Wales. In this specific royal generation, that meant Prince George was legally guaranteed his princely title from birth, but any siblings born after him, including Charlotte, were entirely excluded from this privilege. Had that century-old rule remained untouched, Charlotte would have been categorized merely as the daughter of a duke, while her brother walked the global stage as a prince. It was a structural imbalance that threatened to create a visible, uncomfortable hierarchy within the very same nursery. But the late Queen Elizabeth II possessed a remarkable ability to read the shifting tides of history. She recognized that the crown could not preach equality to the modern world, while simultaneously enforcing a two-tiered system among her own great-grandchildren. In December 2012, just months before Prince George was born, the Queen took decisive action. With a stroke of her pen, she issued a new letters patent under the Great Seal of the realm. This powerful legal document formally declared that all children of the eldest son of the Prince of Wales would enjoy the title of Royal Highness and hold the rank of Prince or Princess. It was a masterful, preventative move. The Queen understood that for the monarchy to maintain its dignity and relevance, true equality had to be visible, beginning with the very titles these children carried into the public eye. This pivotal decision, however, intersected with a broader, more complex debate regarding the future shape of the royal family. Financial and political analysts, including extensive reports from Bloomberg, have long documented King Charles III's vision for a slimmed-down monarchy. For years, his overarching strategy has focused on streamlining the institution, intentionally reducing the number of titled, working royals to minimize public expenditure and present a highly efficient core team. Granting the Royal Highness status to all of William's children technically expanded the inner circle, running slightly counter to the philosophy of a contracted royal footprint. Yet, the Queen's intervention ultimately prevailed over the push for a smaller monarchy. In this quiet intersection of royal strategies, her protective foresight shielded Charlotte from becoming a secondary, peripheral figure in the royal narrative. Princess Charlotte currently stands as the perfect crystallization of these two eras. She is the undeniable product of a great-grandmother's profound constitutional wisdom, securing her place not just as an essential figure in a modern, streamlined monarchy, but as an absolute titled equal to the future king. What do you think of King Charles's vision for a slimmed-down monarchy? Do you believe the Queen's decision to elevate Charlotte was the right move? The law has successfully secured Princess Charlotte's place in history, but constitutional decrees cannot protect a child from the daily reality of unprecedented fame. Who shields a young girl from a force far more relentless than any historical rule? The unblinking, constant scrutiny of the global public? Growing up within the upper echelons of the British monarchy means living under the weight of an invisible crown long before one is ever actually worn. For Princess Charlotte, the primary challenge of her generation is not an archaic legal system. It is the unforgiving nature of the modern digital landscape. Millions of lenses capture her every public move, analyzing a simple gesture, a choice of outfit, or a momentary expression. The sheer intensity of this media environment became unmistakably clear in the early months of 2024. As extensively covered by major international news agencies like the Associated Press and Reuters, a seemingly ordinary Mother's Day photograph released by the family quickly triggered a massive global controversy over minor digital alterations. When major news wires issue unprecedented retraction notices over a family portrait, it reveals just how intense the spotlight has become. If a single photograph can ignite a worldwide debate lasting for weeks, we can only begin to comprehend the immense, silent pressure placed upon the young children standing at the center of that frame. It is an environment where public expectations demand absolute perfection, and the margin for error is practically zero. Recognizing the risks of this extraordinary environment, the Prince and Princess of Wales have constructed a formidable, carefully managed boundary around their family. Prince William understands the profound cost of a highly public childhood better than almost anyone, drawing from the deep and often challenging lessons of his own upbringing and acutely aware of the relentless media glare that shadowed his late mother. Princess Diana, he and Catherine have made it their absolute priority to offer their children a grounded reality. They do not view their daughter's childhood as a public commodity. Instead, they operate as a steadfast shield, deliberately controlling when, where, and how Charlotte steps into the international spotlight. They have established a clear line between the royal institution and their private family life. This thoughtful approach has resulted in a fascinating and highly deliberate duality in Princess Charlotte's world. When duty calls during major state occasions, she steps effortlessly into her role. Standing on the historic balcony of Buckingham Palace, she offers the cheering crowds a confident, practiced wave, projecting a calm composure that commands immediate respect. She understands the assignment, yet, the moment the heavy gates of Anmer Hall or Adelaide Cottage close behind them, the cameras vanish, and the royal protocols are left at the door. Away from the public eye, she is allowed to simply be a child riding bicycles with her brothers, getting her boots muddy in the countryside, and experiencing the ordinary, everyday moments that define a healthy upbringing. This delicate balance is the true triumph of William and Catherine's modern approach to royal parenting. They are not hiding Princess Charlotte from her inevitable destiny. Rather, they are equipping her to handle it. By nurturing a genuinely normal personality within the confines of a truly extraordinary, high-stakes life, they are providing her with the greatest protection possible. A strong, authentic sense of self that no headline or photograph can ever take away. But the quiet sanctuary carefully built around the family could not hold back the tide of history forever. In September 2022, the world came to a standstill. A historic 70-year reign drew to a close, the crown inevitably changed hands, and the immense, unspoken weight of a 1,000-year-old dynasty suddenly shifted onto the young shoulders of a new generation. The transition was swift and monumental. Just one day after the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, the newly ascended King Charles III delivered his inaugural address to a grieving nation. In a broadcast closely analyzed by major financial and political outlets like Reuters and the Wall Street Journal, the king formally declared that his eldest son, William, would assume the title of Prince of Wales. With those few spoken words, the identity of the family was instantly transformed. Charlotte was no longer simply a daughter of Cambridge. She stepped into a deeply historical designation, officially becoming Princess Charlotte of Wales. This title carries profound national resonance, famously associated with her late grandmother, Princess Diana. For Charlotte, it was a sudden elevation that signaled her direct and immediate proximity to the highest seat of power. It was a clear declaration that she was no longer just a member of the extended royal family. She was the immediate future of the crown. Yet, the true test of this elevated status arrived much sooner and much harsher than anyone could have anticipated. The early months of 2024 cast a dark, sobering shadow over the institution. Breaking news alerts from international agencies, including AP News, sent shockwaves across the globe with an unprecedented series of announcements. Within a remarkably short time frame, the public learned that both King Charles and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, had been diagnosed with cancer and were stepping back from their public duties to undergo medical treatment. It was a moment of profound vulnerability for an institution. We daughter sumly we daughter 7 we dot eaaga. We daughter olza 19 has an ever crisis. The monarchy suddenly faced a severe personnel crisis. The concept of a modern, slimmed-down royal family, once a highly praised strategic goal, suddenly became an alarming reality as the number of senior working royals shrank drastically overnight. The official line of succession, traditionally viewed by the public as a distant, theoretical list of names, suddenly felt incredibly fragile and immediate. Standing resolutely at third in line to the throne, Princess Charlotte was thrust into a highly sensitive position. The public gaze intensified, looking to the younger heirs for signs of continuity and stability. At an age where most children are simply navigating the complexities of middle school, this young tween was forced to process the deeply personal, terrifying reality of severe illness striking both her grandfather and her mother simultaneously. However, standing in the center of this immense institutional and emotional storm, she displayed something truly extraordinary. She did not falter. During her carefully limited public appearances throughout that highly volatile period, global observers noted her remarkable emotional intelligence and unshakable poise. She was frequently seen gently guiding her younger brother, Prince Louis, or offering a reassuring, calm presence alongside her father. She was actively balancing the very real, very frightening, emotional turbulence of a young daughter with the steadfast composure expected of a high-ranking royal. In the midst of the monarchy's most fragile hour in recent history, Princess Charlotte proved that true strength is not about holding a title, it is about maintaining your grace when the world around you is shaken to its core. A physical crown is not required when the aura of a monarch is already woven into one's very character. Over the past few years, audiences around the globe have frequently held their breath, captivated by the remarkable level of authority and composure a child not even 10 years old could command at some of the most solemn national events. Princess Charlotte does not merely attend royal engagements. She instinctively anchors them for her generation. The world first truly recognized this unique strength during the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Amidst the overwhelming grief and the glare of thousands of cameras at Westminster Abbey, a young Charlotte stood in her solemn black coat and offered a flawless, deeply moving curtsy as her great-grandmother's coffin passed by. It was not a rehearsed, mechanical gesture. It was an instinctual display of profound respect that instantly bridged the gap between a grieving family and a mourning nation. This innate understanding of duty has produced a series of viral moments that highlight her sharp awareness of royal protocol. During the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, millions watched closely as she delivered a subtle but firm nudge to her older brother, Prince George, gently reminding the future king to correct his posture and keep his arms at his side during the national anthem. At the annual Trooping the Color parades, she observes the military precision from her carriage with a serious, unwavering gaze, often leaning over to quietly instruct or reassure her younger brother, Prince Louis. She is not just participating in these historic events. She is actively managing the environment around her, serving as the unofficial guide for her siblings. Now, as she turns 11 in the spring of 2026, this remarkable maturity extends far beyond the balconies of Buckingham Palace. Behind the private gates of Lambrook School in the Berkshire countryside, she is navigating the delicate transition from childhood to young adulthood under extraordinary circumstances. Recent reports from UK media paint a picture of a fiercely loyal and highly emotionally intelligent young girl who has quietly stepped into a leadership role within her family. During the unsettling periods when the Princess of Wales had to step away from public life to focus on her medical treatments, it was widely noted that Charlotte became the emotional anchor for her brothers. She provided a crucial sense of stability and normalcy, fiercely protecting George and Louis when their world felt entirely uncertain. When you watch Princess Charlotte navigate both public duty and private hardship, it becomes clear that she is a striking composite of the most influential women in modern royal history. Royal observers frequently point out that she possesses the unyielding dedication and the piercing, observant gaze of her great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. Yet, when she breaks into a smile and engages with the crowds, she radiates the undeniable, approachable warmth that defined her late grandmother, Princess Diana. And in her flawless, quiet execution of her daily responsibilities, she perfectly mirrors the grounded, unflappable grace of her mother, Catherine. She is a living mosaic of royal heritage, absorbing the very best traits of the women who came before her. In doing so, Princess Charlotte is proving that true leadership does not wait for a title. It simply steps forward when the family and the institution need it the most. The title of Wales is merely a stepping stone. History has already prepared a much higher honorary seat for this young royal, a position where she is destined to become the most influential female figure within the institution. According to the official historical archives of the royal family, there is a specific, highly coveted designation reserved exclusively for the monarch's eldest daughter, the title of Princess Royal. It is a tradition dating back to the 17th century, first established by King Charles I for his daughter, Princess Mary. It is an honor that is never automatically inherited but carefully bestowed by the reigning sovereign, carrying with it centuries of profound national significance. Currently held by the fiercely hardworking Princess Anne, it is a title synonymous with absolute, unwavering duty. It demands a lifetime of service, thousands of public engagements, and an ironclad discipline that prioritizes the crown above personal ambition. When her father, Prince William, eventually ascends the throne, Charlotte is the natural successor to inherit this prestigious mantle. In doing so, she will step into the formidable shoes of Princess Anne, embracing a public life defined by quiet dedication and an unrelenting work ethic. It is a role that requires putting the nation first, steadfastly supporting the sovereign, and standing as a permanent pillar of stability for the realm. But even now, looking closely at the confident 11-year-old girl today, it is abundantly clear that Princess Charlotte is much more than just a future princess royal. She is far more than the successful byproduct of a progressive legal reform, and more than just a historical footnote in the succession to the Crown Act. She has rapidly evolved into the very soul of this new, modernizing monarchy. In an era where the global public constantly questions the relevance of ancient institutions, her steady presence provides a compelling, undeniable answer. She embodies the perfect, delicate balance between the historic mystique of royalty and the relatable reality of a modern generation. Her poise reassures the public that the crown is not merely surviving the challenges of the 21st century. It is actively and successfully adapting to them. As we observe her extraordinary journey from the groundbreaking legislation that permanently secured her rightful place to the poised, emotionally intelligent young leader she has become during times of family crisis, we see a remarkable story of institutional evolution. She is a girl who inadvertently conquered 1,000 years of outdated tradition before she could even walk. She now stands firmly in the present, navigating intense public scrutiny with a maturity that consistently astounds seasoned royal watchers. And as she looks ahead, she holds the future of her family's legacy securely in her hands. Picture her stepping forward at national events, walking alongside her parents with her chin held high, moving with a quiet, natural confidence that effortlessly commands the room. She represents the ultimate bridge between the heavy, ancient crown of the past and a dynamic new dynasty filled with genuine hope for the future. In a rapidly changing world, one truth about the institution becomes remarkably clear: the British monarchy will endure and thrive precisely because they have Princess Charlotte,